Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a very happy Monday and a great start to your weeks. Today we're going to be diving into Vechain VET. We've got a lot to cover as it's been a little while since we've actually tackled Vechain. We're going to be looking at a number of things. We're going to be diving into the charts, of course, revisiting our Elliott wave theory, looking at some of the immediate time frames. I'm going to be showing you something that I'm not too happy to see for Vechain, and that is this low here. And how does that put us in accordance with our Elliott wave theory? We're going to be looking at a number of things in association with Vechain, like Google Trends. It shows there's very little interest on Google for VET. This is very much backed up with your volume profile. You can see the volume. I mean, since sort of July 2020, we've just seen pretty much a continuous downtrend in terms of volume. You know, one reason Vechain gets smashed as hard as it does is due to its liquidity. You know, here was a 85% sell-off, I think, from the high to where we are today. You know, this is a 60% sell-off. So because it's not on that many exchanges, it's very, and I'll show you that in a second, it's very illiquid, which means that it doesn't take a huge amount of the supply one way or another to move it. And that's why you get such a volatile price action associated with Vechain. So we're going to get into a number of things. Also, like the fact that we believe that the bull run is going to go into next year, really kind of confirming this. Now, if I think the bull run is going to go into next year, this, of course, Vechain being a part of the asset class that's in that bull run, you know, Vechain will do very well, despite something on the kind of short to mid-term that I'm not too happy to see that isn't something that I'd like to. And I would have liked us to come out and put this low, but we're going to get into all that in this video. Let's start by taking a look at the price of Vechain. Market as a whole is somewhat down today. Very lackluster markets across the board are that. I mean, you actually have to scroll down to find Vechain now. It's 31 in terms of market cap. Pretty sure at one point it was near the top 10. It's currently sat at 7 cents. Wow. I still hold on to all of my Vechain, by the way. It still has a $5 billion market cap. And what I'm talking about with exchanges, I mean, you can see here that these are the only really exchanges that list VET. There's not, you know, Coinbase, for example, Kraken, Gemini. Some of the largest exchanges actually don't even have Vechain listed. So that is one reason why you see such volatile price swings. It works in both the up and the downside. Certainly when we're in a down period, Vechain is just really held hostage. And we've done videos on that where we've looked at VET and we've shown that it's very much tethered. You know, if the overall market's having a bad day, Vechain will follow suit. Quick reminder, these guys are still gaining partnerships pretty much what seems daily. They have some amazing partnerships. They are a fantastic project. They're doing a lot more with VETHO at the moment, where they're actually, you know, they're utilizing their smart contract side of that blockchain and of the kind of Vechain ecosystem. So there's lots of exciting things going on underneath the hood. Obviously, most people only really care about the price. Let's talk about our Elliott wave theory that we have in play. This is what we were anticipating. Now, one thing I'm not too happy with, and I'll move to a chart that doesn't have the kind of macro Elliott wave theories in place, so I can draw on it, and we'll switch to a weekly time frame. You know, with many coins in this pullback, you know, we see the standard thing. This was your March sell-off, obviously led by Bitcoin. We've seen a rally, we've seen a pullback, we've seen another rally, but the pullback from that rally hasn't actually kind of invalidated and put in a prior low. For most coins, even something like Cardano that's been selling off for 3 months now, still hasn't come down and put in a new low in its structure. Bitcoin, for example, is a very good illustration of what I'm talking about. Can you see this? And it's not actually put in a new low, whereas Vechain has. So this is something that typically I wouldn't want to see, certainly if we think we're following something like Elliott wave theory, because if you look at kind of standard Elliott wave theory, you can see that within your kind of larger macro waves, which we have mapped out for you here, you have your kind of micro waves is what I call them. And essentially, you know, they follow the same rules and principles, and that is that if you invalidate your Elliott wave theory structure, the whole kind of structure kind of gets thrown out the window. Now, there are exceptions. The main Elliott wave theories that you want to, the main sort of Elliott wave that you want to pay attention to is the macro. I have seen on a number of stocks, on commodities, on some of the currencies, on Forex, them still follow an Elliott wave theory, but in the kind of microwaves invalidate a smaller Elliott wave. So what I'm essentially talking about here is, you can see since really March 2020, You've gone on to just put in higher highs and higher lows. Even on your sort of pullbacks, you can see that this is just continuous higher highs and higher lows. You come down on your macro wave and then you start a new trend. And for the first time, you actually come down and put in a higher or a lower low, sorry, since this trend really began. So that is somewhat worrying, but somewhat not, because there's a number of things that can be attributed to why VeChain's done this. One is what we spoke about at the start of the video, the low liquidity. Markets kind of get shaken around, very low interest. This is I use Google Trends for a lot of things. Certainly if I'm looking to get into a new project, I'll see if it's trending upwards or trending downwards on Google Trends. And you can see that for VeChain, it's at historically low levels. I mean, pretty much the lowest levels it's been this year, certainly at the start of the year. December last year, it was also historically low. So maybe there's something telling in that. And then, of course, we saw an uptick. So are we going to do the same sort of thing? Very telling that, actually. I've just discovered that on this channel, that on this video, that VeChain was at 8 down here. And it went down to 10 and we're currently at 13. So I did the similar thing back in December. People have got, Christmas is you have to understand that what really drives markets, of course, we have institutions and stuff like that, but retail plays a part. And retail, certain times of the year, get tied up with other things, such as Christmas. It's a very expensive time of year, and people need to bear that in mind. So there's lots going on. So even though I'm not particularly happy about the fact that we've kind of put in a new low here, and it's really the first time that we've done it. Let's drop down the time frame, see if there's any other kind of, you can see even with some of these brutal sell-offs. Now, this wick here, we ignore. When we get wicks that are of this sort of magnitude, typically they're scam wicks. Typically something's happened on an exchange. What are we on here? We're using Bitfinex on here. Yeah, can you see you don't really have it over here? So you can see that wick. These are scam wicks that usually occur on exchanges due to defaults on the actual exchange. So even with that scam wick, you can see you're still actually not putting in a new low. So this is the first time you've done it. So is that cause for concern? In some ways, yes, it does invalidate your micro Elliott wave theory structure, but your macro is still in play to me. And I'm going to make this absolutely apparent, seen a number of stocks, commodities, cryptos, currencies, the Forex market do similar things and then still go on to put in new highs. And I am still expecting new highs for VeChain. We do believe that you are still in a bull market. We've looked at a number of things in association with this, mapping out, what do we think this bull run now looks like. We were expecting a 2017 and 2013 blow off kind of top. And I'll show you that in case there's anybody new on the channel. This was 2017. This, of course, 2013. This is the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory that we're really talking about at large. I've shown you plenty of other charts with that, which, of course, and you can sort of see it here, is dictated by these green lines, which are the halvening. And then you kind of get this price adjustment for Bitcoin, which, of course, puts the whole market into a bull market, or historically has. And we were expecting a similar kind of end to 2021. We followed the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory for a long time. But one thing that is apparent and very much conflicting data is the fact that cycles are getting longer and they're going down in terms of ROI. So there's a potential that something like this happens. Remember, this has been an extraordinary 2 years, essentially. That's had external impacts on the cryptocurrency market. So we still do believe that you are going to see this bull run continue. We think that crypto, certainly if you watched the CEOs testify in front of Congress, you very much got the feel that this is the future. Just like the internet, there's a similar thing happening here. Just like all technological revolutions, blockchain is exactly that. It's a technological revolution. And the early companies to come out of it, certainly the ones with staying power, and I think VeChain stands a good chance of being one, given the level of adoption it's already seen, do very, very well. So I do believe we're going to go into next year. Of course, if we do, VeChain's a part of that, and this becomes somewhat irrelevant. TA absolutely works, ladies and gentlemen, but to a degree. For example, March 2020, there's not really a lot markets can do. These black swan events and kind of global macro events that happen that really throw market into frenzies. So that's the majority of what I have. Other than the fact that we've put in this low here, really for the first time, a new low, certainly on our microwaves within our macro Elliott wave theory, is somewhat alarming. But it's not the end of the world. Certainly if we continue in this bull market, we know that VeChain is exceptionally volatile due to its low liquidity, due to it being listed on little exchanges. One thing I really like about VeChain is the fact that they are far more focused on the actual blockchain than they are pumping the price. And that's always a good sign. You know, when you see products out there that are very heavily focused on just pumping the price, you know, it's a bit of a red flag to me. Let's jump into the short term very quickly before I wrap this video up. You know, you can see that, I mean, you got potential bottoming structure here when you're putting in these kind of marginally lower lows. But ultimately, at the same time, you've got this kind of descending resistance that you're getting rejected off. But I am still, you know, I think VeChain is a great project. I still hold all my VeChain. At the moment, I'm currently not accumulating more VeChain. I'm happy to hold what I've got. I'm happy to stake it for VETHO. And the reason being is because typically when I'm looking to invest in something, I think my money potentially could serve me better elsewhere. And I already have a nice bag of VeChain. So what I mean by that isn't that VeChain is garbage or any of that nonsense. What I mean is that, you know, right now I'm looking for hot topics. Predominantly right now, the majority of my capital is actually going into the Cardano ecosystem. You know, some of the projects and protocols and dApps that are going to launch on that, because I think there's a huge value proposition there. But, you know, I'm definitely going to hang on to my VeChain, because VeChain is one of them ones when everyone stops paying attention to it, like we're seeing in the Google Trends, it just goes through the roof. You know, it's very good. I'll show you this quickly. It's very good at doing this. Let's get off a 4-hourly time frame. Can you see how it's very lackluster? You know, you're coming down to these kind of historical bottoming levels for VeChain. So there's so much data to go into. One video simply can't explain it all. You know, and there's a reason I hang on to my VET, because I do think they're a fantastic project. Can you see this? Oh, great. What have we done here? Let's get back to VeChain. You know, it does very well, and this is what we've been anticipating for a while. You can see this. Let's take it off log. Okay, let's put it on log. I'm not sure when I drew these. You can see this is really what VeChain's doing. It's in a kind of megaphone structure, if you will, and we do think it's going to get over here, and there will be a period of outperformance for VeChain. That's why I hold on to it. Am I continuing to accumulate? Not at the moment. Will that change into the future? It's really dependent on the charts. You know, I'm watching this low. I've got to be honest with you guys, I'm watching this low. I'm seeing people call for a bear market. I don't think we're in a bear market just yet, guys. I think we'll get clear confirmation of that. People saying that we're in a bear market right now, it's not based on factual TA. It's based on their opinion on the situation. And these guys have been calling for bear markets numerous times since March 2020. I'm going to keep reminding people that crypto's the future. It's here to stay. A project like VeChain, I think, is going to do very well. I think it's actually very undervalued. I think there's a lot of coins above it, above the number 31 spot, that don't deserve to be there. I think VeChain certainly deserves that, as it can do a lot of what these other coins can do and more. All I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed the content, like us, always appreciate it. So as a comment, remember there's a link to our Discord in the description for those of you looking to join the community, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching, guys.